Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome. We are going to be doing a review today for Unit 6 through 7. And in this review, we're going to go over the handout that I posted that's called Unit 6-7 Review. Okay. Now, you want to make sure that you've gotten all the letters down that we've done in Unit 6 and 7. So in 6, we covered the ta marbuta, and we said that this was the feminine marker, that it is at the end of a noun or an adjective to make it feminine, that when it's attached, it looks like this, that you can also write it like this. You can put the dots above it. And we talked about when it refers to a word that is human, right? So for instance, if we have the word for teacher, ustad, you can make it feminine by just adding a ta marbuta, ustada, right? And in this case, we're writing it this way because the dal does not connect to the next letter. Whereas if I had a word like zawj, which is husband, and if I want to make it wife, that we have to connect it because jim connects, and it would look like this, right? We also talked about these right here are human words. We talked about non-human words, inanimate objects, will only take masculine or only take feminine. Okay, so for instance, we have the word bait, which we did for house a long time ago. It will always be masculine because it doesn't ever get spelled with the ta marbuta. You can't make it feminine. It's just always that grammatical gender. Whereas if we do another word like shajara for tree, this word is always feminine. You cannot make it masculine. Okay, so inanimate objects have either masculine gender or feminine gender. Human terms can take either gender. Okay, and then we also talked about adjectives. Anytime you're describing a noun, it has to match in gender, right? So if I'm trying to say ustada and I want to say nice, for instance, which is the word latif, means nice. If I'm describing ustada, the adjective has to have ta marbuta. Same thing goes with inanimate objects. If I'm describing an inanimate object like this that ends in ta marbuta shajara and I want to make it small, the word saghir has to have ta marbuta. Okay, so that was gender. We've talked about that. We also talked about, I'll add a slide here. The letters that we did in Unit 6, we did ta, dha, ayn, and ghayn. Okay, so remember this is your heavy T sound. It's the heavy version of the ta. So you have ta is light ta versus ta, which is a heavy version. Dha is the heavy version of the letter dal. Ayn is a rolling sound in your throat. And ghayn, we said, is a gargling G sound. And ta and dha connect on all three sides. Oops. All right. And ayn and ghayn also connect on all three sides, and we said that it looks a little bit different in medial and final position because it has that triangle shape. Okay. You don't want to get ayn confused with the hamza. This is the ayn. The hamza makes the a sound, right? If it has a fatha, a, versus the ayn, a, u, ru, I, I. Okay, and that's the difference between those two. So the hamza is in your chest and the ayn is in your throat. And remember, the hamza doesn't connect, it doesn't ever touch anything, right? So if it's in initial position, it'll be on top of an alif chair. Whereas the ayn looks like this, right? It connects. So we did those four in Unit 6. So ta, dha, ayn, ghayn. Then in Unit 7, we did fa, qaf, kaf, and lam. Okay. Fa, making the F sound. Qaf is that heavy sound. You could put a Q or a K with a dot. And kaf is the light one, with like a regular K in English. So we have heavy, we have light, and lam is the L sound. Okay. In terms of connecting, We said we have fa, initial, medial, final. Qaf looks similar, right? It only looks different in its full form. So notice that fa stays flat on the line. Qaf, when it is in its final position, it dips below the line. The letter kaf, we said this symbol on the inside reminds you what it looks like when it's in initial position. Okay, and so that is like this. Or if you want, you could write it like that. Then you have medial position, which if you want, you can lift your pencil and do it like that, or you could do a straight line and put it over. And then in final position, it looks like itself. And then with the letter lam, we said that the lam also connects on all three sides, and it looks similar to an alif, but the difference is it connects on both sides, whereas the alif does not connect to what comes after. And with the letter lam, we also talked about alif lam, which is the definite article. So if you attach alif lam to any word, so if I have al kitab, it now means the book. Okay. Right? So it makes a word definite. And that nouns and adjectives, not only do they have to match in gender, like we talked in the previous slide, but they also have to match in definiteness. And then we also talked about if you have a lam plus an alif, that it looks like this, and this way can connect, or it looks like this. And by itself, it means no, or it's a negation. So you can put it in front of a present tense verb. For instance, if we said la uhib, it means I don't like. If you say la by itself, it means no. And then, of course, if you're just spelling a word that happens to have a lam alif, then just make sure that you write it correctly in the word. Okay. So that's just a brief overview of all of the letters that we've done. So let's go ahead and go through the vocab. You should have already gone through this. This video is only for you to go through once you have completed the review. So what I would recommend is if you haven't, pause it, go through the vocab, and then unpause it. Then go through the next section and so forth. Okay? So all of these words are words that we had in throughout the videos. As we did the lessons, I always gave you vocab words. So that's where these are coming from. Recognize them, know how to spell them, know how to pronounce them. Okay. Shajara. Tree. What I would recommend is if you're making note cards, try to put the Arabic word on one side and then put a picture on the other side. It'll make it easier for your brain to recognize and remember. Tabib is a doctor. And of course, any word that is human, you could make it feminine. Tabiba would be female doctor. Okay. Tayyib means good. When it refers to a person, it's like a good person, a nice person. When it refers to food, it's delicious or tasty food. Satr is line. Bat or batta is duck. Yatir means he flies, but we're not going to do this one because I don't think I went over it with you. Khat means handwriting. Abu Dhabi is Abu Dhabi, the Arab American Emirates. Okay. Bulda, ice cream. Halv. Notice these two are different. I think I had mentioned in one of the videos that they're the same, but they're actually different because this doesn't have a dot. Halv is the same as bakht, which, if you don't remember from earlier in the class, meant luck. Shari', street or road. Sa'a is a clock. It can also refer to time. It can also refer to hour. Okay. Sa'b is hard or difficult. And I'll put a little star next to sa'b because it's an adjective. And I'm going to point it out for all four of these are adjectives. So whatever they describe, it has to match the gender. So if it describes something feminine, you have to add a ta marbuta to the end. واسع, wide or spacious. غريب, strange, weird. صغير with a fatha here, small. Okay. Okay, then we had فوق, which is above, and sometimes it's pronounced with fatha, فوق. ورقة, paper. It will always have ta marbuta because it's an inanimate object. رفيق is a friend. Remember the types of friends we did. So this one is a nice friend. And of course, you could make it feminine, رفيقة, if it was female. صديق, same thing. You can make it feminine. صديق is also a friend. And remember, it comes from صدق, which is a trustworthy friend. Okay. We also had, I think it's down here, okay, friend. صاحب is a friend who's like your companion, best friend, close friend, someone you spend a lot of time with. In dialect, people use it for boyfriend, girlfriend, right? So you can make it feminine too. غرفة, with the sukoon here, room. Fi, that was your first preposition that we did. I'm going to put that in red. It's a preposition. صف, صفوف, class. صفوف is the plural, so class. صفوف is classes. دقيقة, minute. Remember, in dialect, it's da'i'a, but we're pronouncing it daqiqa. You're pronouncing the actual qaf. سكر, sugar. Kitab, book. And any of these, you can add alif lam if you want to make it the book, the sugar, and so on. Kabir is another example of an adjective. Big. Kursi, chair. Halib, milk. Fusul, fasl, fusul. This is the singular, this is the plural. Fasl, remember we said, can mean class or season. Fusul is the plural, classes or seasons. Walad, here's the singular, and this is the plural. It should have been in the opposite direction. I think in the formatting it just switched. Walad is boy or child, and therefore awlad is boys, or it can refer to children. Okay, it can be gender neutral. Kalb, here's the singular, means dog. Kilab, dogs. Talib, student. Tullab, students. And talib, remember, you could also make it feminine. Taliba. Sahib, we did. Tawila, table. Libya, the country, Libya. Okay. We also did the word, I remember I brought it up in one of the videos, Safha, which is page, and Daftar, which is notebook. There we go. Okay, so those are some words that we did as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. You're going to have, we always have a listening section where you're comparing. So in this one, we have pairs of words and we want to tell the difference between the two. So I'll do each one, starting with one and working my way down, and then the second column. So number one, nazar. Nazar. Notice it's a va, nazar, va, sound. Therefore, it's this. If it was this letter right here, it would have been nazar, nazar. It's light. But this is nazar, and I just realized it's a fatha, so it would be pronounced nazara. And this one on the right would be nazara. Okay. Okay, let's move down. If I say Aziz, Aziz. You should have picked this one because it has the letter Ain. This one has a Hamza, so it would have been Aziz. Aziz. Okay, let's look at the next one. Ja, ja. Ja, ja. And we have this one. This right here, both of these should have a sukoon right here. That would have been ja, ja. Ja, ja. Okay, let's look at the next one. This is very similar to number one. If I say حذر, حذر, if it's a the sound, it's going to be this. If it was حذر, it would be that. So remember the difference between light and heavy sounds. Light is the a sound, heavy is the a sound. Asir, asir, with the light seen. Heavy would be asir, asir. Okay, let's move our way up here. If I say iktifa, iktifa, that's a regular K sound. And this letter right here is the letter kaf. If it was a qaf, it would have been iqtifa, iqtifa. But I said iktifa. Rafiqa, rafiqa. So if you hear the a sound at the end, that means it's feminine, it has ta marbuta most likely. Raghwa, raghwa. If it was rakh, that would be a kha sound. Daraba, daraba. With the dad, not a da. And last one, let's do qalb. Qalb. Qa sound. Okay, so you should have already done these. If you haven't done these, pause the video and make sure you do them first and then come back so you can check your answers. These, I believe we've done in a video before, so I'm just going to breeze right through them. So my baker, we have the word khabbaz, making it mine, khabbazi, and I'm not going to put the harakat in the vocab section. I don't care for the harakat, just make sure you spell the words correctly. Khabbazi, because he's masculine, we're going to use the word yuhib with a ya, my sister, ukhti. Number 2, is my homework correct? So we don't use is, so we're just going to say my homework and correct. Wajibi, sahih. Number 3, my female teacher is new, so we have the word ustadha. If I want to add my to the end, I have to open it to a regular ta, so I can add the ya. There's no word for is, so we just put the adjective. And because it's feminine, we're going to add a ta marbuta to it. Okay. My doctor loves ice cream. So we have tabib, add a ya, tabibi, yuhib. And then we have buda. You could also put al-buda, but we haven't covered grammatically why we would put al there. So if you didn't, that's okay. If you made this feminine, this would be tabibati, tuhib with the ta. Okay. What if I wanted to say your doctor? We would use the word tabib and add a kaf, tabibak. Okay, let's look at the rest of them. A wide street. A is implied when you don't have alif lam in the word. Okay, this is a noun adjective phrase, so the adjective goes second. So we're going to put street first. شارع, this is رقم 5. شارع واسع. The house. So to make something the, we add alif lam. Then we write the word bait, and the first letter now is going to be in medial position because it's connected to the lam. There's no is. Oops. And then we just use the adjective صغير. Your neighbor is strange. We have jar, and then we add the kaf. Jaruka or jarak is strange. غريب. And if you wanted to make the neighbor feminine, You have jara, right? Like this, da marbuta. So open it so it looks like a regular ta. So you can attach that kaf. Jaratak. And because this is feminine, you have to add the feminine marker, غريبة. Okay, let's start with the Arabic ones. Here we have أريد الحليب حضرتك. This represents I. So I want the milk, sir. It's like saying, please, or excuse me, sir, I want milk. ورقتي, ورقة is paper, so my paper. ورقتي was and ودفتري, my paper and my notebook. في in بيتك. بيت is house and the ka is yours. So my paper and my notebook in your house. So you can just translate it with it is, because that's what's implied. My paper and notebook are in your house. Is or are. Okay. كلبك صغير. So kalb is dog, and when we add ki, it just means your. It just means the person you're talking to is a woman. So your dog صغير, small. Your dog is small. وقطتي, قطة is cat, so yeah, here means mine. And my cat, كبيرة, is big. And notice here, كبيرة has ta مربوطة because قطة has a ta, whereas صغير does not because kalb doesn't have one. Okay. في in غرفتي. غرفة is room. The ya makes it mine. So in my room. طاولة صغيرة. طاولة is a table. صغيرة is small. So in my room is a small table. و and ساعة, a clock. فوق, above. الباب, the door. So in my room is a table, a small table, and a clock over the door, or above the door. واجبك صعب. We have the word wajib for homework. Why won't the dots stay? And we add a kaf, which makes it your homework. So your homework is hard. ولدي, we did walad meant boy or child. So if I say waladi, it's my child or my son. Waladi, yuhib, he loves ice cream. Al-bula, he loves ice cream. Okay.